Okay, thank you. Today is the planning board meeting for the city of Springfield. Today is May 18th.
19th.
18th. Bill, if you would-
19th.
19th. Okay, well, it's May. We know that much. And thank you for coming and listening. And Philip, you would do roll call, please.
Just kind of on a note for people before we start, if you're not speaking, would you do me a favor and just mute yourself until you are? It just gets kind of noisy. Mr. Cunningham?
Here.
Mr. Minio?
Here.
Daniele? Absent. Ms. Moran?
Here.
Ms. DiFilippo?
Here.
Mr. Florian?
Here.
Wade?
Here.
And Ms. Choi?
Here.
We do have a quorum.
And Phil, if you would read the continued meeting, the continued petition.
I think there's minutes, Gloria.
Yeah.
What?
We do have
I
a-
think there's minutes.
Okay. I don't have them with me. I'm sorry. Leo, do you have what the minutes are?
Yep, right here. From February 17th, 2021, March 3rd, 2021, April 21st, 2021, and May 5th, 2021.
All right. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Make a
So
motion
moved.
to accept.
And second, Phil, would you do roll call?
Voting on accepting the minutes, Mr. Cunningham?
Yes.
Mr. Minio?
Yes.
Daniele absent. Ms. Moran?
Yes.
Ms. DiFilippo?
Yes.
Mr. Florian?
Yes.
Ms. McQuaid?
Yes.
And Ms. Choi?
Yes.
Just quickly again, for those who may be watching, I just wanted to run through the procedures here. Due to the Zoom requirements of these meetings, new items will be heard tonight and then continued. They will then, that then allows the general public to view the meeting and submit comments. At the following meeting that will be voted on, we have two continued items. The first one is a liquor license, which would be voted on tonight. The preliminary subdivision, it's been continued a number of times, but since this is the first time that it's going to be a presentation, I would ask that this be continued as well until the following meeting. So without further ado, under the first public hearing item for continued liquor license, all alcoholic new at 141 State Street, Canna Inn Cafe Bar Restaurant Inc., doing business as Canna Inn Cafe Bar Restaurant.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Gentlemen, you've been back to the Armory Commons, the Civic Association.
I'm sorry, you asking me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
If you guys could just state your name and addresses for the record.
Okay. Yes, it's 141 State Street. Yes, Springfield, Mass.
And what's your name?
Bienvenido Martinez.
Okay.
I am the owner. So he's Guillermo Nicasio. He's gonna help me to translate for understand better your question and answer.
Okay.
Okay.
Gloria, if you'd want, just for the record, we did receive a letter from the Armory Quadrangle Association. It's dated May 10th. I don't know if you want me to read it into the record.
Yes, would you please?
Sure. So it's again from the Armory Quadrangle Civic Association. On May 5th, 2021, the Board of Directors of the Armory Quadrangle Civic Association, the Downtown Springfield Neighborhood Council, met by Zoom with Benevito Martinez, the owner and manager of Cana Cafe Bar and Restaurant. Prior to the meeting, he has sent us menu, restaurant experience, and security information. We discussed our concern about the noise and how the restaurant planned to be both a family restaurant as well as a bar with DJ music. The restaurant is small and they plan to develop a takeout business as well. Mr. Martinez allayed our concerns and agreed to a midnight closing. After further discussions, the Armory Quadrangle Civic Association Board all supported Mr. Martinez in his efforts to establish a successful restaurant at 141 State Street and asked the Planning Board and the License Commission to give approvals. Sincerely, Betsy Johnson, President.
Thank you, Phil. Do any of the board members have any other questions or concerns?
Yeah.
Okay, hearing no questions or concerns, I will accept a motion to close the hearing.
Make a motion to close the hearing.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Phil, if you would do roll call?
I'm closing the hearing for 141 State Street. Mr. Cunningham,
Yes.
Mr. Minio? Mr. Minio? I think you're muted.
Yes.
Yep. Mr. Daniele absent. Ms. Moran?
Yes.
Ms. DiFilippo?
Yes.
Mr. Florian?
Yes.
McQuaid?
Yes.
Ms. Choi?
Yes.
Hearing's closed.
Okay, now that the hearing's closed, I will accept a motion to, on this petition. Leo, are you going to?
I was just looking at it, some of the concerns, like I said, if the neighborhood council up there, they basically obviously asked the questions that we were thinking about, and they must have got an answer that they felt comfortable with. So if they're satisfied, then I'm going to make it a motion to approve with the following condition, that the hours of operation shall be no later than, what did they agree to, midnight, 12 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay, and there shall be no banners, streamers, or other promotional material located on the exterior of the building, with the exception of the grand opening.
Is there a second to the motion?
I second.
Thank you. Phil, if you would do roll call again.
You're voting on the approval for 141 State Street. Mr. Cunningham?
Yes.
Mr. Minio?
Yes.
Mr. Daniele absent. Ms. Warren?
Yes.
Ms. DiFilippo?
I have to abstain. I did not hear the first hearing.
Okay. Mr. Florian?
Yes.
Ms. McQuaid?
Yes.
Ms. Choi?
Yes.
Motion's approved. You guys are all set to move forward to the License Commission.
Congratulations.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Phil, would you hear that, would you tell us the second petition?
Under the second continued item, it's a preliminary subdivision plan for Tinklewoods. The owner is Bretta Construction, engineer Gary P. Weiners, and it's dated March 2021.
Don't know.
Are we continuing this, or is this the?
No, Mr. There was
Oh,
some
there-
issues.
All right,
Yeah, there was some issues with the Department of Public Works over the drainage, but I did receive a letter from DPW that they're going to move forward with these developments that have these drainage basins. The concern was that the city did not want to own these drainage basins because it is, they do require long-term care, but it's my understanding they're going to work. They have some conditions that need to be met as far as the developer wise, but at the end of the day, that these drainage basins are going to be approved. So on that note, I'll hand it over to Gary. I can bring up the plan if you need me to, Gary. If you want me to, I can bring up my screen if you.
Yeah, if you could, Phil, that would be great. My name's Gary Wayner, 53 Mill Road, Hamden, Mass. I'm the project engineer for the Tinklewoods preliminary subdivision. I represent Thomas Bretta and Bretta Construction, who has or is the owner of the parcel of land. The proposed subdivision is 38 lots to be located on the west side of Tinkham Road. The land, if you drive Tinkham Road, is just southerly of the Macedonia Church of God in Christ, and is basically wooded. There are 4 existing homes on the parcel of land which will be demolished to accommodate the new 38 lots. As I say, the land is wooded. We are currently having Pete Levesque flag the wetlands. Wetlands are located off of the parcel to the west of the roadways that are proposed. We have approximately almost 2,000 feet, if you will, of roadway that would service the 38 houses. The roadways and the houses all will have sewer, water, natural gas services, and of course the stormwater management that will be required. I would point out that if you're looking at the plan, running through the middle of the plan, there's a dashed line that basically is a 10-foot walking easement to the conservation land and the parkland, which is located westerly of the parcel. That 10-foot walking easement was negotiated with the city years ago with a prior owner. We will be continuing access to the park conservation land at the southeast corner of the parcel, where you see the sort of wetland delineation line. There will be an easement of access so that people will still be able to access the conservation land and honor the agreement that was previously structured. We've looked at the site distance on Tinkham Road for the 2 entrances and exits for the subdivision. They are more than adequate for the speed limit and above the speed limit. Getting back to the stormwater drainage, we have proposed at this point 1 stormwater basin to be located on the westerly end. In reading the new policy memo from the DPW, we will be slightly revising the drainage to accommodate more infiltration within the subdivision proper, meaning that where the catch basins collect the water at the street, then we will, within the tree belt area, infiltrate prior to going to the detention basin, which will then be made smaller. So we've read the policy memo. We are confident, obviously, that we can comply with DPW's concerns and with their policies currently. We do recognize that one of the houses is over 100 years old, and the demolition of that house will require at least a review by Historical Commission. We will be in the process of moving that forward. Notice there, or within the memo from the planning department, it was indicated that sidewalks will be required for the subdivision, which is not a problem. I would ask for some clarity. We would like to place sidewalks on only one side of each of the streets, if that would be acceptable. And the reason for that is that with the new memo and the new policy from DPW, they are requiring infiltration within, rather than just one large detention basin, they're requiring infiltration throughout the subdivision. And within the right-of-way, within the tree belt area, it would be easier for their maintenance on the long term if we place that infiltration in a green space area rather than within an area where there would be a sidewalk. Those are really the highlights of the preliminary subdivision. We recognize that, it is preliminary, but we did want to get it in front of the planning board. And we know that we will be meeting with the Civic Association out there prior to submitting definitive. Thank you.
I have to be honest, my first impression was, I don't mind the new houses, but holy mackerel, you've got them packed in there. 38 houses. What's the width between one house and another house? The side.
Well, they currently, the lot layout conforms to the Residence A1 zoning. You can see on the plan that the dashed lines within the lot layout themselves are the building envelope. So we have some very good sized lots where house staging probably will be at least 20 to 30 feet separating when the houses are finally put in. There will be closer houses, obviously, within the center of the subdivision, but overall, it conforms to the zoning, and we do have some much larger lots than what the zoning requires.
And are they, how many bedrooms?
3 to 4 bedrooms. What Mr. Breda, who is currently building on Gilbert Avenue, has found is that the people that are coming forward to buy those homes are looking at more bedrooms than the 3-bedroom house, and quite frankly, they are selling very well. And I think also Phil could probably address this. I mean, most of the homes that are coming in before the planning board now are at least 3 and probably 4, and in some cases 5 bedrooms in those new developments. I'm not certain that one of those bedrooms isn't going to be used for office when there's, rather than going back to the office or a building. I think in many cases, people may be planning to run their offices out of that extra bedroom. But the market is looking at really a 4-bedroom marketplace in Springfield.
Gloria, if I could just jump in for 1 second, I just want to tell Mr. Martinez, you guys are all set. You can sign off.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good day. Thank you so much.
Do any of the board members have any questions?
And just for clarification on the board, it just, as was mentioned, this area of 16 acres is zoned residence A1, which is a more restricted. It's the most restrictive housing development zone we have. So the lots are actually larger. Under residence A, you only need 7,500 square foot lots, which is most of the developments the board has reviewed. Under residence A1, you need a 10,000 square foot lot. That can be reduced if they're deep. It's usually 100 feet of frontage, but you can reduce that by, I think it's 1 foot for every 2 feet you go back. So if you have a 110 foot lot, the frontage only needs to be 90 feet. So, these all do meet the residents. So although they look tight, they're actually larger lots than than most of the developments we reviewed. It is a large subdivision. So they're getting a lot out of it.
Yep, they are.
I have a question. It looks huge when you look at the plan. But you talked about those dotted lines that go down the middle and being some kind of walkway to get to the way, the water area and the park and that type of thing. But I'm looking at this and they go right through people's houses. I'm a little confused what you meant by that.
Sure. Prior to Mr. Breda owning the property, I believe the owner back was Mr. Krupke, and there was an agreement between Mr. Krupke and the city of Springfield about cleaning up the property and providing access to the conservation area, which is located to the west of the subdivision. And the agreement was that through the center of the property, a 10-foot walkway would be left for the purpose of pedestrians being able to get to the land and to the conservation land. That 10 feet of an easement will be eliminated, and the access will now be in the southeast corner of the parcel on a public way, assuming that the streets are accepted after they are constructed. But there would be an access point as originally agreed to, if you will, for the Conservation Commission.
I just want to be clear that this is it's not a paved walkway. It's just an easement.
And if you were to go out there today, there's no way you know where that is. because again, it was never cleared 10 feet wide to accommodate the public. It was granted, but again, this was prior to our involvement in acquiring, or Mr. Bretta's in acquiring the land. But it exists on paper, if you will.
Okay, so that's going away, but there's another access way into it.
Yes, right and actually more of a direct access to the conservation land.
And you haven't gone before the neighborhood council at all?
No, we have not. No, we will be, absolutely. We recognize that. We also have to go in front of the Conservation Commission. Even though our subdivision is out of resource areas, it will be within their jurisdiction. So we recognize that.
All right, does anyone else have any other questions?
Yeah, I have one comment that I just kind of wanted to speak on. It's in regards to the elimination of sidewalks on one side of the street. I'm opposed to that. I think, we have a 38 lot subdivision that they are proposing. I think they can do it the right way. And I don't think that the explanation that was given really says that, the infiltration is infeasible. It just sounds like they want to get out of putting sidewalks on one side of the road. So unless there's some sort of additional information that is brought forth as to why they can't figure out a way to get adequate drainage, I would like to see sidewalks on both sides of the road as part of the project. I mean, it looks like there's.
Go ahead, say that again, Chelsea.
I'm going to piggyback on that sentiment. I think given the volume of the homes in the subdivision, coupled with the notion that these are going to be at least 3 to 4 bedroom, possibly more than 4 bedroom homes, I think the sheer volume of people per subdivision in the home are going to be utilizing the sidewalk. So I agree with Mr. Mio that it's the reasonable thing to do.
Thank you.
I agree as well. And there's going to be families, especially with that many bedrooms, there's going to be a lot of children and activity. So.
Exactly.
Thank you for bringing that up, because that was a concern of mine, but I forgot to mention it. I just throw it out because that's what I'm going to do. With all these houses, what about thinking about doing some type of an open space area for the residents, whether it's to play a ball, toss a ball around, a play area?
Again, I don't know about that, but I would point out that there is a passive recreation area, fairly extensive, just to the west, in that you've got conservation area and also parkland area that go down to the south branch of the Mill, South Branch, I think, I'm sorry, one branch of the Mill River on the westerly side.
Okay, and you will be providing a landscaping plan further along, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah.
And how about lighting?
Again, we'll comply with whatever, the subdivisions require for street lighting. I would anticipate that at least at Tinkham Road, there would be lighting necessary. I'm not certain about the subdivision. We wouldn't be offering it, if you will, unless it's required.
Okay. Are there any other questions or concerns from the board?
And Gloria, for those folks that may be watching, I just like to stress at the beginning of these subdivisions that, subdivisions are kind of a tricky animal that, a lot of the, people who happen to abut these are oftentimes not thrilled that housing is going to be developed. But under the state subdivision control laws, the planning board is very limited on their ability to deny a subdivision. So regardless of whether neighbors come out against it, if the subdivision plan meets the underlying regulations, then then the planning board cannot deny a subdivision. So again, this is a preliminary subdivision review. So, the detailed review by, as mentioned, the Conservation Commission and the Department of Public Works, as well as Sewer and Water, has not really been completed, but will be when the definitive subdivision plan is submitted at a certain point in the future. So this really is just kind of a process. And again, for a preliminary subdivision, the board could theoretically deny it. That would not stop them from submitting a definitive subdivision plan, even, so this is more of an informational, in my opinion, preliminary review, and it doesn't really affect whether a subdivision moves forward or not, whether it's approved or denied. So again, the larger issue is going to be the drainage. I tend to agree that sidewalks in this size of a development are appropriate, especially since there are, in a lot of areas of this, in 16 acres, you don't find sidewalks, but there are sidewalks that are on this side of the development on Tinkham Road. So certainly when you have existing sidewalks, we want to make sure that they connect. So, I would be recommending, unless there's a reason that the Department of Public Works gives me that sidewalks shouldn't be installed, and it would be my recommendation as well that sidewalks be installed in this size of a development. So on that note.
Okay, thank
I
you.
mean, Tom Brennan knows what he's doing. I mean, he's done dozens of these. He's done others off of Tinkham Road, So that gives me a sense of comfort because he's experienced at doing this, and his stuff comes out usually very, very nice. But so just throwing that out.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Breda has done a number of, the newer developments, probably 3 or 4 in my memories. So, and the how, this kind of goes in cycles. I usually see a lot of subdivision happen when the market is good, and right now the market in Springfield, as well as surrounding communities, is over the top. So, you've got a lot of developers running around looking for vacant land in order to build new houses because they're getting top dollar. So that tends to go down. But, at this point, it's probably as high as it's ever been. So I can certainly see why developers are looking to build.
He's also taken some that were failing and turned those around, as well as his own, the ones that he's done on his own.
I would agree.
He's been doing it forever. So.
All right. If there are no other questions or concerns, I will accept a motion from the board to continue this hearing.
Make a motion to continue the hearing.
Second,
Thank you. Phil, if you do roll call.
And continuing the preliminary subdivision, Mr. Cunningham,
Yes.
Mr. Minio,
yes.
Mr. Daniele absent, Ms. Moran,
Yes.
Ms. DiFilippo,
Yes.
Mr. Florian,
Yes.
Ms. McQuaid,
Yes.
Ms. Choi.
Yes.
So this item will be continued until the June 2nd hearing.
Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, under public hearings new, we have a proposed zone change number 3220. The address is 1259 East Columbus Avenue. The proposed change from business C to business B, and the petitioner is Covas Columbus Springfield LLC.
Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
So we have a zone change request.
Just give your name.
Currently, as Phil mentioned, oh, mute yourself. Okay. Peter's on the other line here. I just asked him to mute himself. So we have a proposal to zone it to business B. This was the original zone before the casino came in, and as part of the casino overlay district, I think I guess the group had a request to zone it to business C, and so now we have a potential tenant, which is Burger King, for the building, the one-story building at the corner of Union and East Columbus Ave, to go in there. So, okay, great. This is the way, this is the existing site, the way it is right now. So we have ample parking spaces. I think we have some 115 parking spaces currently. So if you, Phil, could you switch to the screen with the drive-through? The one with that shows the drive-through for the smaller building. You don't have it, Phil?
He does.
Phil, do you not have it?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. No, give me 1 second. I must have closed it out. So give me 1 second and I'll bring it right up.
Sure. So, so what we did is we've gone to the neighborhood council last week, and we presented this, and the neighborhood council has looked at the plan, scrutinized it, asked a lot of questions. We've answered them, and I think the neighborhood council is in agreement. So we've covered that base. So here is the plan with the drive-through. So the plan would be, there we go. Okay. So the plan would be to eliminate the parking spaces in the rear of that building and eliminate the parking spaces to the left-hand side of that building. And where you see the barrier between the drive-up window and the drive aisle, that will be a physical barrier so that when cars are coming around to pick up their food, they will not be able to access the drive aisle there. So this is what they call this. There's a double drive-through here so that the ordering is quick, so the backup doesn't exist. And there is, we've looked at it, there's sufficient room there to access that. Once this is done, we end up with, I think, 96 parking spaces. And the requirement would be 65. So we're well in excess of what's required for parking spaces. And if you take a look at the rendering, Phil, could you put the rendering up? This is not a standard Burger King. So what we've asked them to do is take the existing lines of the building and not change them, but to utilize them. So the building will look like that. And if you look at the building today, the roof line is the same as you see in this rendering. And the only thing that they're adding to the front would be that brick piece that goes up so that they can put their sign on it. And that's what the building will look like. The neighborhood council liked the design, and that's what we'd like to have you approve for us tonight. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Phil, just to follow up on a couple of things, we did meet and the board did vote, to support the project. Some of the concerns we brought up that night, obviously, was the number of cars in the drive-through, and just want to make sure it's not going to cause any traffic problems going out onto Union Street. With the double drive-through, the way they have it, you can never say never, but it looks like it should be able to handle that. We like the design of the building. The only thing we were looking at is going in and out of that driveway. It's got that big divider in the middle that all I do is I see people driving over the top of it every time I see someone going in there. And Frank, I did talk to Chris Ignoli about that, and he says, once he looks at all of the plans, he'll see. Because it seems like it's like in the way, you know, I mean, if there's another way to get in and out easier than going around that thing. But aside from that, you know, like I says, we looked at it, we like it, and the neighborhood council did support it.
Yeah, and Leo, as you know, I mentioned at the meeting, that was requested by Al Schwalik at the time.
Yeah. I mentioned that to Chris. He said,
So-
we'll check it out.
So we're happy to redo that. And I'm happy to work with Chris Signoli on that.
Okay.
I happen to like it, Leo, because I see so many people coming out of a driveway and taking up more than what they need to. So you're going in and you can't move in quickly enough because they're in the way. But we'll see what it comes up with.
Well, yeah, we're not saying eliminate it. There needs to be something to separate it. It just seems that's a little excessive. That's all.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. Anybody else? Any other questions? Rosemary?
I find that entrance and cutting over to go over to Berkshire, which I do a lot when I come down Union. I mean, it's a nightmare. The driving and the parking and the getting in is difficult. But I'm also confused or concerned about the rest of the vehicles. So there's an entrance on East Columbus, and then there's still the entrance on Union. Will the entrance to Union be even if somebody's going, say, to the restaurant? And when you're going around and you're picking up your food or the other cars you're leaving, they have to cross over, from what I'm seeing with the arrows, they have to go across the traffic driving in. They may be driving in to go to the bank. You see what I'm saying? It's hard to say because I can't point it out. I can point to it, yeah. So if you're coming down this way on the side from the drive-through, if you're leaving, you're cutting across traffic coming in, which seems really awkward to me.
I can tell you that I'm here every day, and it seems to work out okay. The drive-through on the other side where Berkshire Bank is, that works out okay. People just wait for the traffic to dissipate and then they go forward. There'll be stop signs, and there'll be it works. We don't see that would be an issue.
But it works because there's nobody in that building. You know, it's got very limited traffic compared to having Burger King. Yeah.
It's no different than somebody driving across the front of the building.
Yeah, I mean, it's really no different than somebody driving across the building. It's just people, we do it with signage, and you know, that Berkshire Bank drive-through, we haven't had one issue in the last 8 years. And you've got a curb cut on the other street there. And
Right.
and yeah, we had a traffic engineer look at it, and he saw no issues with it.
Okay. But again, that building hasn't been used and hasn't been used to this amount. That's just what I see as a potential problem. I've seen accidents on East Columbus Avenue at that corner of Union and East Columbus. It's a bad corner.
Well, that has nothing to do with you're right. I've seen accidents at the corner of East Columbus and Union, but a lot of it is people trying to beat the light, and it doesn't have any. It hasn't had an effect on our property, other than we've had some cars that have knocked over our fence, but that I don't see that causing a traffic issue.
Okay,
Rosemary, I think that, when we looked at it, we had a lot of the same questions, concerns. But over the past, I don't know how many years, in terms of the Berkshire Bank and Frank's building himself, I've been down there 1,000 times, and quite honestly, that parking lot's always empty. I mean, it's not a high volume bank, or it doesn't seem to be. So if that particular building was something that was very busy with a lot of cars, this would be a whole different situation.
well, I know I go there all the time and I know it's not a high volume, I just think it's a tight area for all this traffic.
Yeah.
Not necessarily even with Berkshire Bank. I just meant the corner and that particular building that we're looking at.
Yeah.
Not so much tied to the bank.
Okay.
It just seems like when they're coming out, they're cutting traffic, they're cutting over traffic that's coming in, but,
Yeah, they will be.
yeah.
I do just want to stress to the board that although we're looking at a drive-through here, the board is charged with the zone change. So whether that's an appropriate action, the drive-through is going to trigger a special permit through the city council where that'll be reviewed and approved or not. So I just want to stress to the board that I certainly don't want to cut off the discussion, but again, that it's not technically, because theoretically they could get his own change and not do his own, not do the drive-through, but currently right now, we're just kind of looking at whether it's appropriate to go back to business B.
Thank you, Phil. Are there any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, I will accept a motion to continue this hearing.
Motion to continue the hearing?
Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Thank you. Bill, if you do roll call.
Yeah, on continuing zone change number 3220, Mr. Cunningham,
Yes.
Mr. Minio,
Yes.
Mr. Daniele, absent, Ms. Moran,
Yes,
Ms. DiFilippo,
Yes.
Ms. Florian,
Yes.
Ms. McQuaid,
Yes,
To June 2nd.
Ms. Choi.
Yes,
So this will be continued until to the June
Second.
2nd meeting, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
So just give me 1 second. I just got a couple of A&R plans. Also, just for everyone's notice, as I'm sure you're all aware, the governor is kind of changing the rules around COVID. I think the state of emergency that was implemented last year is ending, I believe, June 15th. I don't know what that means yet as far as Zoom meetings go. So as far as I know, we're going to continue the Zooms until I'm told differently. But at some point, I would assume we're going to go back to in-person meetings. But, I don't exactly know when that's going to happen. But I just wanted to give everyone a heads up that it may maybe happen sooner than I kind of expected. I thought it would go through the summer and into September, but again, the big thing is with the governor's ending of the state of emergency, which allowed these Zoom meetings. Once that's done, I'm not sure how much longer we can continue doing Zooms because it does limit public participation. One of my concerns with Zooms is the advertising cost is over the top because the amount of text I need to add to put into these advertisements. For instance, this zone change, by the time he's done between planning board and city council, it's close to $4,000 in advertising costs.
Oh,
So it's kind of ridiculous, but unfortunately I don't have any control over that. So it's half the cost when we go back to regular because the ad certainly shrank. So anybody coming in, the liquor license only has to be advertised once, so it's less, but it's still $800-900 for an ad. So anyway, on that note, I'm just gonna, I just have a couple quick A&R plans. Give me 1 second here. Can everyone see that?
Yes,
So this is at the end of Oak Hollow Road. There's an existing house and an existing vacant lot. I don't know, can you guys see my little hand there?
yes,
So this gentleman is proposing, I think, either a garage or an extension on the house. So he's eliminating this lot line between the vacant property and where his house is now. So it'll be 2 lots to become 1.
okay. Move to approve.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay,
This is a lot at the end of Clearbrook that connects to Allen Street. This is actually where Bicentennial Highway used to go straight into Allen Street. It has now been turned, so there's actually a very large landscaped area here. So this has been vacant for a number of years, but it was owned by I forget what his name was, a gentleman who's done a lot of development out here, but they're currently in the process of selling it. So what's limiting to this parcel is they're not going to be able to do lots that come off onto Bicentennial Highway, because I guess there's a state requirement that limits curb cuts onto Bicentennial, but they are able to get 2 lots onto Clearbrook. So basically it's 1 large lot now. They're proposing to do 2 lots onto Clearbrook, and then I suppose they could theoretically get 1 over here, but I don't know whether that'll get built on now. I know they're proposing to move forward with the Clearbrook, so it's 1 lot going to 3.
okay. Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the last one is actually part of the subdivision we're going to hear at the next meeting, which is the Elaine Circle extension, where, as you may recall, this is the Elaine Circle is up here off of Bay Street. The developer, Graham Construction, has purchased that big, large vacant lot. There was going to be a church there years ago.
Right,
They ended up building, I think, 2 walls in the foundation, but never moved forward. So there's going to be, I think, I forget the number of lots, but this is another pretty good sized development that's going to happen. But Leach Street here, he's currently coming in for 2 non-subdivision under the A&R plan that allows him to create these 2 lots. And then at the next meeting, we'll review the larger development that's going to go here. So again, these are able to be created without a subdivision because they already front on an existing street.
We voted on changing the zoning, didn't we, a while ago on this piece?
Yeah, it went from business A to residence A. So he's planning to continue. You can't see here, but at the upper end of the Lane Circle, there's going to be a new street. It won't go to Boston Road. It's going to dead end. But there are, I think, 20 something more lots that he's proposing to build.
and what is he gonna do with the 2 areas on Leach?
2 houses. He's going to build 2 houses on here because, I mean, this is, as you can see, this is where there's some wetlands. So this area back here is going to be kind of unbuildable, but he will be able to put 2 houses that face, Leach Street now.
They'll come out onto Leach.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, this one, he got the ability to do it because.
Yeah. All right, move to approve.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so, that's it for me for tonight.
All right, have a good night, everybody.
Take care, everybody.
Good night. Have a good night.